How's it going, boys and girls? My name is Michael SK, and welcome back to the Eden of Grisaia. So in the last episode, oh man, I don't really remember what happened. I remember JB was found to be imprisoned by good old Kiata, and the date of when things are going to get rolling has been stated, but I don't remember what it was. The girls do know, and they've gotten started in their operation with Thanatos. That's all I remember. We are now back at Ichigaya. More specifically, we're back in Yuji's cell, or at least that's what it looks like. And the chapter name is Angelic Howl. Now, if you guys have gone through the Fruit of Grisaia, which I hope you guys have, don't worry, I have. And more specifically, Amane's route. Angelic Howl is the it's the sad chapter. It's the sad event. So, I'm pretty sure my prediction is right. I think we're going to see what happened with Kazuki after she and Amane split up that one night, and she got to safety and all that. I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen here. So let's get going. 15 minutes had passed since breakfast. The food here wasn't good, but it wasn't bad either. It was mostly just tasteless. Given that he'd grown used to Amane's cooking, it was probably natural that Yuji didn't find the food enjoyable, but the fact that it didn't have any taste at all likely had something to do with the drugs they were dousing him with. Not douse. Dosing. What am I doing anymore, man? Now that he had been reunited with the national defense system that called itself his sister, he knew that the surveillance cameras and microphones in the ceiling of his cell were essentially Kazuki's eyes, ears, and mouth. Oh shit, dude. Physical distance was irrelevant to her now. No matter where her body might be, she was present anywhere her eyes could see. Temporal and spatial limitations no longer applied. She could be in multiple places simultaneously if the situation called for it. At any given moment, Kazuki might be watching a street corner, exploring a public facility, or using a webcam to peek inside a private home. That sounds fun, I guess. You basically couldn't turn around without bumping into her. Of course, the idea of an invisible army of Kazukis lurking all over the place was somewhat unsettling. But she'd always been something of a god to Yuji, so the idea of her always watching over him almost seemed like a natural development. And when you're locked up in a cell all day against your will, you tend to have a good deal of time on your hands. You don't say! And siblings who haven't seen each other in years always have plenty of catching up to do. In particular, Kazuki was very interested in hearing about how her brother had gotten by following her abrupt disappearance. My life after you disappeared was, well, pretty much how I described it in those documents. Now that I think about it, I guess this explains why they ordered me to write such a detailed report. You were behind that, weren't you? You never changed, Kazuki. Back when we were kids, you used to interrogate me about my day the minute I got home from school.
それはあなたが私の預かり知らないところで私の知らない女の子と人には言えないようなことをするからでしょ
Hey man, let's leave Sachi out of this. What are you even talking about?
堀内奏、大橋ひろ子、小田彩菜。私が確認しているだけで少なくとも3人は女の子の友達がいたわ。
Well, I don't ever remember hearing these names before, alright?
しかも堀内奏とは結婚式ごっこと称した時期でキスまで許したわよね。あの子とあの子の家族が今どこで何をしているか知りたい？
Again, I've never heard of any of this, alright? Thanks anyway, but I really don't think so. Look, forget about me. Why'd you end up like this, Kazuki?
ユージはどこまで知っているの？
Man, I only had like a 10-hour flashback back in the Fruit of Grisaia. You were in an accident on the way back from your training camp and got stranded in the mountains. Only Amane survived in the end. Amane told me what happened from her perspective, but I don't know much apart from that.
そうね。 それじゃあ、私が天音と別れてから先の話をしましょうか。
Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Oh, no, we're back in this shit, boys. Fuck. And I thought we were done with all this. Oh, man. Back to the creepy music. Back to the creepy vibes. To the creepy environment. To the creepy people. Oh, man. Oh, man. Like, I enjoyed reading it through, but, man, what a fucking roller coaster of emotions and pain. That's all I gotta say. It was the night of our escape attempt. After convincing Amane to run off by herself, I was easily pinned to the ground by Kanade-senpai, who had pursued us through the woods. Straddling my body as she pressed me into the dirt, Kaneda focused her attention on my right hand, which held the knife I'd taken from Amane. She pushed down on my right arm with an unbelievable amount of force, while Koide-senpai immobilized my fractured left arm.
なんで逃げるんだよ。話し合えばわかるって言ってんじゃん。
I don't even remember who everyone was, to be honest. I just remember, like, everyone was creepy as hell. She had the eyes of a starving dog, and the smile on her face was a twisted, hollow thing. The corners of her mouth were wet with frothy spittle, whatever that is. Let's just call it gruel. From all appearances, Kanade-senpai was now governed entirely by her impulses. She hadn't decided to catch me. I was running, so she'd instinctively given chase. Koide Ritsu, for her part, was clearly terrified. When you grow too accustomed to being ordered around, you lose the ability to take independent action. Unless you stay in line and cooperate with the group, there's always a risk that they'll turn on you next. That fear was probably what made Koide-senpai act, more than anything else. One of my captors was incapable of coherent thought. The other was a coward who couldn't bring herself to ignore a crossing signal. They'd caught me, but that didn't mean they were going to do anything to me. Not just yet, anyway. A few seconds had passed, and while they had me at their mercy, they obviously weren't sure what to do with me. One of them was governed by instinct, the other by fear. Under these circumstances, fear would be easier to manipulate. I turned my head toward Koide, who was holding my left arm.
痛いわ、小出さん。話してちょうだい。
Who was this again? Which one had the dog, or is she dead already? I know there's some people that have died at this point. I'm pretty sure like half of the gang is dead. Man, I really don't remember. Keeping my voice utterly calm, I addressed her in a low, menacing tone. Wait, she was the one who was at the captain's side. Not captain. The bitch girl side. The whoever was wanting to be in charge and acted like a bitch.
聞こえないの？ならもう一度だけ言うわ。話しなさい、りっちゃん。
Do it. Once you've learned to fear something or someone, that fear tends to stick with you. And I could feel Koide-senpai's grip weakening slightly.
ほら、話すなよ。
Wait, is she on the left? No, that's not her, is it? Because she's the one who had the gash in the head. I'm so confused.
そんなにムキにならなくても逃げやしないわよ。ほら、包丁も捨てるわ。手を離しなさい、りっちゃん。怒るわよ。
The words right and wrong held no meaning here. No one knew who to obey. No one knew what to do. In this valley, the law of the jungle was in full effect. Brute strength was all that counted now. But even so, Koide Ritsu was afraid of me. My arm was fractured. I was lying face down in the dirt, utterly helpless. But even so, the idea of antagonizing me terrified her. An intelligent woman can be far more frightening than a physically powerful one. Koide-senpai had spent too much time being pushed around by other people. Her terror of me wasn't rational. I imagine it came to her reflexively.
りっちゃん。
Lightly speaking Koide-senpai's name was enough to fuel her fear. A part of her mind was screaming to apologize now, while she still had the chance. The next words out of my mouth would be decisive.
あなた、私がいなくても生きていけるの?
Oh shit, yeah, that's pretty good right there. Koide-senpai had spent most of her young life standing submissively at the side of stronger people. Over the years, she'd internalized certain rules. The way I was treating her set off alarm bells inside her head. Her instincts were telling her not to defy me. Before she even knew it, Koide-senpai had jerked her hands away from my left arm. I didn't let the chance pass me by. With all my strength, I swung my partially fractured arm up, which is gotta hurt, punching Kaneda square on the nose. As Kaneda reached up to stop the blood from flowing from her nose, I tried to push her off me. But it wasn't as if I had much strength left, and more importantly, I just hit her as hard as I could with my injured arm. Yeah, that's why I said, that's gotta fucking hurt. It hurt so badly that I wanted to cry.
今ので完全に折れちゃったかも。
Uh-oh. Enraged by the pain, I'd inflicted on her, Kaneda-senpai bellowed my name furiously. Now that I'd angered her, she'd probably kill me without a second thought. If I wept and apologized, would she forgive me? It didn't seem particularly likely. I tried to lay a bit of groundwork for when worst came to worst, but honestly, it appeared that my luck had simply run out. Just as I was beginning to resign myself to my fate, another of my pursuers arrived on the scene.
待ちなよ、金田。風見は殺しちゃダメだ。
Who's this again? Oh shit, I remember her. Wasn't she acting a little whack too? Sakuma-senpai had emerged silently from the darkness behind Kaneda. None of us had noticed her approach.
殺す？私が？風見を？なんで？別に殺しゃしないよ。なら、風見を捕まえてどうするつもりだい
？Taking a shaky step forward on her undernourished legs, Sakuma placed a hand on Kaneda's shoulder and pulled. Kaneda slowly turned her head to look up at her.
死ぬのを待つんだよ。
Her right eye was all but useless. Her left glistened like a pool of oil. Ugh. Her face had contorted itself into the slack, deranged smile of a woman who'd given up entirely on life. Had she not fallen low enough to kill living people in order to eat them? Or had she simply realized that most of my body would go to waste if she killed me now? Whatever the case, she clearly hadn't come to her senses.
とにかく落ち着きなよ、金田。ねえ、風見。情けない話だけれど、私たちは君がいないと全員死んでしまうんだ。
Then let's all leave together?
そのことを君は十分に分かっているし、そうなるように仕向けてきたんだと思うけど、こんな状況で空腹だの治療不足だのと言ってもどうにもならない。この状況で何より怖いのは無気力だ。死んだ方がマシだと思えるような状況の中にあって、それでも風見がいればまだなんとかなるかもしれないという小さな希望が持てる。たとえどんなに小さくても希望さえあれば、私たちはまだもう少しだけ生きていられるような気がするんだ。君が残ってくれると約束してくれるのなら、私たちも天音を追いかけることはしないって約束するよ。あなたに約束していただくことにどんな意味が？坂下には私が言って聞かせるよ。 信じてほしい。
We were well past the point of talking things over like human beings. Did this girl really not understand the nature of our situation? Like, I'm pretty sure not all of us here could try and escape. I don't think the necessary equipment or food or whatever is on hand. But just sticking around and holding people back from the choices they want to make is just stupid, man. They really made terrible choices in this whole thing, but I guess it is what it is. Before I could respond to Sakuma's offer, Captain Sakashida came running up to us, now dressed in her school uniform.
風見さんを捕まえたのね。スオさんはどうしたの?
And it's all her fault. None of this stupid ass shit would happen. Well, okay, the bus issue would have happened, but if she hadn't taken charge and acted like her actual age, which is young, I'm pretty sure all these people are like 12 or 13, if she thought reasonably, then maybe not all this shit would have happened. This whole story pisses me off.
逃げられたよ。何をしているの？早く追いかけて殺して。生かしておけば私たちは終わりなのよ。
All through with what? Are you insane? Should Amane successfully make her way out of this mountain, the events that had taken place here would be exposed. That was something Sakashida couldn't allow to happen. So what, we all gotta fucking die? That is selfish, man. I hate this bitch so goddamn much. After all, it would mean her spotless life would be stained with an indelible disgrace. I did not say that right, I'm sorry. Hasn't this gone on long enough? With those words on the tip of her tongue, Sakuma turned to look at Captain Sakashida and found that her gaunt face was filled with something like vigor.
Sakashita. 君、また食べたのか?
Sakashida's body jerked guiltily at the question. Her eyes found Sakuma's face, pallid and swollen, in stark contrast to her own.
違うわ。これはだって私が倒れたら。
Yeah, if you collapse, then the whole world will be a better place. If Captain Sakashida were to be rendered immobile, there'd be no one to procure and distribute the food. It was a fact that she had essentially kept the group alive for the last few days. No, it isn't! Everyone here understood that. No! Something ain't right here. And it's not me! Or at least I hope it isn't. And so, no one said anything more. That very silence filled Captain Sakashida's chest with agony and sent blood rushing to her head. Her own desperate search for an excuse brought her nothing but unendurable shame. I'm not in the wrong. Yes, you are, you stupid bitch. There was no other way. Yes, there was, you stupid bitch. What gives her the right to judge me for doing what had to be done? Why is she making it sound like I'm some kind of selfish, gluttonous monster? Because you are. As these thoughts ran through Sakashida's mind, the ball of stress that had built up deep inside her since the day of the accident abruptly exploded. Sakuma had never done anything on her own. She'd always just gone with the flow. She'd eaten the food they found under clearly suspicious circumstances. And now she was criticizing Sakashida for her actions? It was the last straw. Sakuma Minori had always been this way. She was irresponsible and lazy, but always managed to say the right thing. She never did anything useful, but the younger girls all loved her anyway. I remember her being a good character. Why did everyone always fall for this useless girl's nonsense? The resentful thoughts bubbling up inside Sakashida were intensified by her volatile emotional state. In a blind, unthinking rage, she snatched the knife from my hand and stabbed it violently into Sakuma's stomach. Wow.
Oh.
Wow. At first, Sakuma didn't even understand what had happened. Something cold had pushed its way deep inside her stomach. Yeah? By the time she realized it was a knife, the grass at her feet was already glistening with her dark red blood. Oh, this is a terrifying scene that I don't want to see. Oh no. Losing control of herself entirely, Koida-senpai began to shriek at the top of her lungs. Still clutching at my broken arm, all I could do was look on in silence, beads of cold sweat trickling down my back. At last, we'd crossed the final line. The violent urges we'd managed to suppress thus far could no longer be controlled. What else could you do but laugh?
Sakashita. もういいんだよ.
Sakuma took a half step backward. The knife in Captain Sakashida's hand slipped cleanly from her stomach, its blade drenched with blood.
もういいんだ.
Blood poured steadily from the gash in Sakuma-senpai's abdomen, and like air escaping from a punctured balloon, the strength drained from her body. That's it. I'm not going to survive this one. The moment that realization hit her, Sakuma swayed heavily backward. Having offered Sakashida her forgiveness, a beatific, whatever that word is, expression of relief spread across her face. Sometimes you just gotta say fuck it to the words you can't pronounce. And she collapsed to the ground.
Koide-san, 止血を.
Yeah, she's done, dude.
ボケっとしないで、急いで.
Jumping at the sound of my voice, Koida-senpai hurried to Sakuma's side, but the wound was so large that she hesitated, not knowing what to do.
私の上からどいて、この状況がわからないの?
With an angry shout at Kaneda-senpai, I managed to shove her off me and then rushed over to where Sakuma had fallen.
Sakuma-senpai, お気を確かに.
Removing my broken arm from its sling, I slipped the cloth off my shoulder and brought it to Sakuma-senpai's injured abdomen. But no matter how much pressure I applied, the blood wouldn't stop flowing.
違う。私が悪いんじゃない。だって、佐久間が私のせいじゃない。
No, it's definitely not your fault, crazy bitch. It's not like you got upset, grabbed the knife that Kazuki wasn't really even holding, and stabbed. You did the movements to actually stab Sakuma in the fucking stomach. Yeah, you're not at fault. Not at all. Captain Sakashida was mumbling incoherently toward the bloody knife in her hand, but no one was paying her any heed, except me. In the midst of this chaos, I heard someone approaching through the forest.
Kuma-senpai. ねえ。Kuma-senpai. どこ行ったの?
Why did the music go away? Oh, what is this music? Stumbling her way noisily through the underbrush, Ibuki Haruna appeared before us. She looked around the area with glassy eyes, spotted Sakuma-senpai lying in the grass, and slowly squatted down next to her. Oh, fuck, dude.
急にいなくなったら心配するじゃないですか。こんなとこで寝てたら死んじゃいますよ。ねえ、クマ先輩ってば。
Ibuki's tone of voice was cheerful, even carefree. The rest of us were stunned into silence. I don't think I'd ever been at such an utter loss for words before.
っていうか、もう死んじゃってます?
Her abdomen was bleeding profusely even as we spoke. Anyone could see at a glance that there was simply nothing to be done.
ね え先輩。ふま先輩。これってどういうこと？意味わかんなくないですか？だってずっと一緒にいてくれるって約束してくれたじゃないですか。なのになんで勝手に死んじゃうんです？全然意味わかんないし、先に死んじゃうとか、それってずるくないですか？ねえ先輩いなくなっちゃったら、私明日から誰に髪を切ってもらえばいいんですか？
Naturally, Sakuma Senpai didn't respond. She no longer could.
だから言ったじゃないですか。善人なんて最後はみんないいように利用されて死んじゃうんですよ。だから善人なんか嫌いなんですよ、私は。
Turning her attention from Sakuma's wound, Ibuki now looked around the clearing and finally spotted Captain Sakashita standing frozen with the bloody knife in her hand.
Oh my god!
Oh, that was a change of tone. Ibuki's dreamy expression vanished in an instant as her face contorted with rage. Screaming like a madwoman, she pulled a pair of scissors from her skirt pocket, charged at Captain Sakashita, and stabbed them into her! Everyone's dying! And at least it's Sakashita now. Ah, lovely. The nice sound of craziness. With a raspy little gurgle, Sakashita fell to the ground, blood trickling from her mouth. Overcome by anger and grief, Ibuki pushed Sakashita into the dirt, straddled her, and stabbed the scissors into her body again and again. Whenever Ibuki's bangs grew long enough to be bothersome, Sakuma had cut them for her. The scissors she'd used for that purpose were now covered in blood. Even as she screamed, even as she wept, Ibuki didn't stop plunging the bloody scissors into Sakashita's body. Every blow was an expression of her hatred for the cruel and vicious world in which we lived. It was at this moment that Mr. Ochi finally arrived at the clearing. At the sight of this horrifying spectacle, he stopped dead in his tracks.
やめろ。何をしているんだ。やめろ。やめるんだ。
In a place that was already as hellish as this, what was the point of murdering each other? It didn't make any sense. Mr. Ochi moved on pure reflex, thinking only that he had to stop the brutal assault that was taking place. Looking quickly around the area, he grabbed a volleyball-sized rock from the ground with both hands, lifted it up, and brought it down violently on Ibuki's head. What the hell, dude? Why? What is happening? There's just 3 deaths here. 3 people just died right away. Oh my god. Oh my god, dude. What the fuck? Oh my god. With a heavy thought. I shouldn't be laughing. I'm not trying to Logan Paul this shit, but this is fucked, alright? That's all I can say. With a heavy thunk, the rock caved in Ibuki's skull. The impact knocked her head down between her shoulders. She slid off Sakashita and fell on her side, still clutching the scissors in her hand. Why are you laughing? The disaster had unfolded in what felt like an instant, before we could even try to prevent it. Koida-senpai fell on her backside and lost control of her bladder, her fragile mind finally broken. All color drained from the world, leaving only ugly shades of gray. Everything was warped. Everything was twisted. No one could keep the madness from spreading. Ibuki's lifeless eyes were fixed resentfully on Mr. Ochi. Even now that she was unconscious, they glittered in the moonlight as if burning with unspeakable hatred. Faced with the consequences of his impulsive, emotional actions, Mr. Ochi stood stock still, his face full of shock and horror.
俺はなんてことを。
いいぞいいぞ、もっと殺し合え。こいつはいいや。何にもしないでも食い物の方から皿の上に乗ってくるようなもんだ。悪くないよ。
Good old cannibalism. Kaneda-senpai's cruel, deranged laughter forced its way through our ears and echoed inside our minds. We were past the point of no return. As that fact finally sank in, Mr. Ochi's legs gave out beneath him.
だからこれだから女の喧嘩に巻き込まれるのは嫌なんだ。いつだってこんな結果になる。
With every word he spoke, Ochi's body tilted further to the side. Perhaps he was trying to stay upright as the world lurched around him. I can't take this anymore. What does any of it even matter? What's the point of living through all this suffering? Ochi's job was to serve as an example for his students, to offer them hope as they struggled through the anxieties of youth. Over the years, he'd begun to hold something like pride in his occupation. But now that he'd crossed this final line, that thin strand of strength gave way, and he was left with nothing. And yet, it didn't matter if everyone had given up. It didn't matter how desperate our situation had become. I was going to do everything I could, no matter what. I'd spent years teaching my brother to do the same after all. I might die in this place, but I wasn't going to die a hypocrite. Hurrying to Captain Sakashita's side, I desperately applied pressure to her. She's dead! She was stabbed so many times. She is gone, man.
大丈夫。傷はそんなに深くない。数は多いけど、まだ助かるわ。小出さん、手伝って。
With only the use of my right hand, I couldn't possibly stop the bleeding from all of Sakashita's countless wounds. I called for help, but Koida-senpai's fear had given way to despair. She didn't even move.
ありがとう。もういいわ。
Sakashita's voice was raspy and faint. As if to refuse my attempts at treatment, she reached up and grasped my arm.
あなたの言う通りよ。風見さん、ここまで落ちてしまえば、私はもう戻れない。諦めてはダメよ。生きてさえいれば必ずなんとかなるから。
Now that's where Kazuki's wrong. Sakashita responded to this rather inept attempt at encouragement by shaking her head slowly.
あとはあなたに全部お任せするわ。律をお願い。
Well, no promises on that part.
坂下さん。
Why had it come to this? None of it was anyone's fault. So, how had everything gone so wrong? That unanswerable question echoed heavily in all of our hearts. Sakuma Minori died from shock and massive blood loss, as the result of a laceration to her abdomen. Haruna Ibuki suffered an open depressed skull fracture as the result of a blow to her head. Yeah, I saw that one really coming. 2 hours later, she died from cerebral constitution? Whatever. Sakashita I'm really bad with names, guys. I'm sorry. Chiaki? One of the two, had numerous puncture wounds all over her body. Duh. Fortunately, the weapon she'd been stabbed with was a pair of craft scissors, so the lacerations were fairly shallow. We stitched up her wounds, but her loss of blood left her in critical condition. Kaneda Saya received a broken nose as the result of a blow to her face. By pushing my little finger into her nose, I repositioned the broken bone from within, then filled her nostrils with cotton to prevent further bleeding. As for Kazumi Kazuki, the course of punching Kaneda Saya in the face, I managed to completely break my partially fractured left arm. After setting the bone myself, I fixed it in position using a wooden splint. By now, the only uninjured members of our group were Koide Ritsu and our teacher, Ochi Yoshihiko. Neither of them were in particularly good shape either, of course, but somewhat surprisingly, Koide proved to be the more mentally stable of the two. I suppose her ability to adapt to her environment made her somewhat resilient in the face of adversity. About an hour after the incident, she stopped staring blankly into space and asked me if there was anything she could do to help. Oh, fuck, dude. Alright, we'll stop it there for this one. So I guess Sakashita is not dead? It doesn't seem like it. And it seems like she's still alive. But holy fuck. Did Sakuma and Ibuki? Is that her name? Whatever, I don't remember names very well. Or I can't pronounce them very well, or anything else. But holy fuck, there's 2 deaths right there, and one's about to die. And, Jesus Christ. How horrific was that? Like, I knew this was gonna be bad, but I didn't expect that for whatever reason. Ah, man. Alright. We'll call it here, and next time we will continue on with our, I guess, epilogue of Angelic Howl. See what happens next. Probably nothing good, but I don't know if you can beat that. What we just witnessed. So thank you for watching this horrific episode. If you enjoyed it somehow, please leave a like and subscribe for more. I'm sorry for my commentary throughout this one, but I definitely had a lot to say as shit hit the fan. But I guess that's what makes this a commentary sort of playthrough. Whatever. I'll see you guys next time.